Once upon a time, a woman was about to marry the perfect man, except she wasn't sure he was the one her heart truly wanted. There lived a beautiful woman named Chidinma. Beautiful, graceful, and known for the calm strength she carried in her voice and her eyes. She was the kind of woman who lighted up every room she entered, not just with beauty, but with the way she made people feel safe, heard, and seen. At 29, Chidinma had everything she could have asked for. Her career as a digital strategist was thriving. She had a solid cycle of friends, and most importantly, she was engaged to Tunde, a man every mother would pray for her daughter to marry. Tunde was dependable, charming, from a respectable family, the type who brought flowers for no reason, remembered anniversary down to the hour, and always knew the right thing to say. Together they looked like the perfect couple. But not all perfect things are real, and not all real things are perfect. 3 weeks to the wedding, dresses picked, invitations sent, Ashwebi colors decided, emerald green and gold. The air buzzed with excitement and high expectations. Chidinma was at a cafe in Lekki, finalizing her wedding playlist with her best friend, Adora. The smell of cinnamon and roasted coffee beans filled the air. "Are you sure you want to use that song for your bridal entrance?" Adora raised an eyebrow. "Yes now," Chidinma smiled. "All My Life by Casey and Jojo. Classic vibes." She got up to use the restroom, and as she stepped into the corridor, she had a voice, familiar, deep, and once the soundtrack of her youth. "Chidinma," she froze. That voice could only belong to one person. Turning slowly, she came face to face with him. Kola, tall, broad-shouldered. His eyes still held that mischief she used to fall into so easily. And his smile, God, that smile. Time had matured him, added a beard, giving him voice more depth, but her heart knew him instantly. Kola, her voice cracked slightly. They stood there for a few seconds, time suddenly irrelevant, and then they hugged, not like strangers who once knew each other, but like souls who remembered everything. Chidinma and Kola had met during their university days in Nsukka. He was studying architecture. She was in mass communication. They had fallen hard, fast, and deep, but life happened. Distance, misunderstandings, and the weight of chasing different dreams. They lost touch after he moved abroad for his master's degree. Now he was back in Lagos, opening a new architectural firm in Ikoyi. "What are the odds?" he said as they sat across from each other. "Coffee's forgotten." "You are engaged?" he asked, pointing at the ring. "Yes," she smiled faintly, unsure why her stomach turned. "To someone who makes you happy?" Kola asked softly. She hesitated, and that hesitation said everything. The days that followed were a storm of confusion. Chidinma tried to brush it off. Kola was the past, Tunde was her present, and her future. But memories don't knock politely before entering. They barge in, uninvited. She found herself remembering the way Kola used to write her poems, how he would walk her to class under the rain, how they would argue passionately about politics and kiss even more passionately afterwards. Meanwhile, Tunde remained the perfect fiancé, checking boxes, staying composed, planning a honeymoon to Santorini. But something felt off, too rehearsed, too predictable. And worst of all, he didn't notice her tomorrow. Kola, however, did. He texted, he called, he asked the questions that mattered. "Are you okay? What are you afraid of? What do you really want?" And one evening, on a quiet walk by the Lekki Ikoyi bridge, she confessed the truth to herself and to Kola. "I don't know if I'm marrying Tunde because I love him or because I'm supposed to love him." The week before the wedding, Tunde's mother insisted on a family dinner. It was formal, tense. Chidinma sat there, surrounded by the talk of wedding logistics and expectations. You must learn to always respect your husband's opinions, Tunde's mother said, even when he is wrong. Chidinma smiled politely, but inside, she cringed. Tunde simply laughed and nodded. And that night, after the dinner, she asked him something she never had. What do you love about me, Tunde? He didn't hesitate. You are beautiful, you are smart, and you make an excellent wife and mother. Not you are my best friend. Not you see the world in a way that inspires me. Not you challenge me, complete me, or make me whole. Chidinma finally allowed herself to accept what she's been ignoring. Tunde loved the idea of her. Kola loved her. The night before the wedding, Chidinma found herself unable to sleep. She walked to her journal and wrote, "Sometimes we get so caught up in the picture-perfect ending that we forget to ask ourselves if it's the right story." Her phone buzzed. Kola, I know it's crazy timing, but I love you, Chidinma. Always have. I will respect whatever choice you make tomorrow. But if it's not too late, meet me by the lagoon 7 a.m. She stared at her screen. Tears welled in her eyes. Morning came. Guests filled the venue. Emerald green shimmered in the sun, but the bride nowhere to be found. Chidinma stood by the lagoon, heart racing, barefoot, her veil in one hand. Kola turned around and saw her. He smiled gently, unsure. I don't know what the future holds, she said, but I know I want to walk into it truthfully, with someone who sees me, not someone who expects me to play a role. He reached out and took her hand. No speeches, no fireworks, just silence and peace. Chidinma didn't regret walking away. It hurt. People talked. But the freedom of living in truth was worth every ounce of judgment. She took time off to travel, heal, rediscover herself. Kola was there, patient, constant, never forcing. They didn't rush, they didn't announce. But one quiet afternoon in Zanzibar, with no pressure, no audience, he whispered, "Will you be my real bride?" This time she didn't hesitate, and she said, "I do. I will be your bride." The moral lesson of this story is that don't confuse perfect with right. Love isn't about checking boxes. It's about being seen, known, and still loved. Another lesson is that it takes courage to walk away from something good in search of something true. You deserve a love that feels like home, not performance. It's never too late to love yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If the story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more lessons and stories that will move you. Until next time, bye.